So you're using the word picture.
Yes.
Is there anything else in the scriptures that you use that term for, picture?
Yes. There's a place where it says Jesus always talked in parables. He says he never said anything that wasn't a parable. Well, the Old Testament is a parable. Everything in it. God wrote it, he spoke it, it's a parable. And a parable is using literal, real things that we know about and are familiar with to be a picture of something that's above our level of understanding. In other words, he takes earthly, ordinary things such as feeding livestock or planting seeds in a field or fishing or making something or traveling or buying a business or anything that we normally do, and he will turn it into a picture of a spiritual vision so we can see something that's on a higher level of understanding. For an example, Jesus gave a parable about a farmer went out to sow some seed. And he threw the seed out, and of course in those days they would take it out of a bag probably and just scatter it by hand. Some of it fell on the roadway. Little horses coming along would just trample it into the dirt and never produce. Some of it fell among thorns, and the thorns would choke out the new plants so they couldn't develop. Some would fall among rocks, and they would begin to grow, but they had no root, so they soon withered. Then some would fall on good ground, and it would grow up and produce a good crop. So he gave that as a parable. And most of the men that were listening to the parable were farmers. And so they would go home to their wife, and the wife would say, "What did the teacher tell you today?" And they'd say, "He told us not to throw the seed on the road." But I already knew that. So what did that farmer learn? Nothing. But Jesus' disciples then would stay around afterward and say, there had to be more to that than what that farmer thought. What did you really mean by that? And he would say, oh, you want to know, do you? Okay. Well, he wasn't talking about planting seeds at all. He said the seed is the word of God. It's the truth that God speaks through the Lord. So he's saying, if you throw it where only the horses are going to trample on it, it won't do any good. It won't produce. Or if you throw it among thorns, thorns always representing something that's harmful and painful and doesn't do any good. Nobody benefits by being stuck to the thorns. It won't work. If you throw it in the rocks, there's nothing harder than a hard-hearted person who doesn't want to know the truth. Throw it in the rocks, well, it might pop up for a minute, but it won't take root, so it'll just die. But there'll be some good ground out there. Good ground is people who want to know the truth. And you show the truth to people who want to know the truth, what do you think will happen? There'll come a crop. And he said some 30, some 60, some 100. They won't always be quite the same, but even if you got 30-fold out of it, that's a pretty good crop. How about 100-fold? But the trick is you throw the seed to those who want to hear. And all you have to, it doesn't take very long when you're talking to anybody when you can find out these people want to know truth or not. If they do, give them the truth. If they don't want, he said, there's no use casting your pearls before swine. There's another parable. But the other thing is all the feast days. In Old Testament, many feast days. They had special holidays like Passover or Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. They had the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Trumpets, and all the people had different things that they were to do on each one of them. But every one of them was a parable to show something about what the Lord was doing or what he would do. And so it's filled with these parables. And even man himself is a parable. God said, let's make man in our image. An image is a picture. When you look in a mirror, you can say, that's me. It's not you. It's just a reflection off the glass. But it's a picture of you. Or you can say, maybe you have a photograph in your wallet of your wife, and you can say, this is my wife. That's not your wife. It's just a little piece of paper with chemicals on it. Your wife is a real person, but this is an image. It's a picture. It's a parable. And so God said, let's make man in our image. Man's a parable. Now, a parable, to be useful, has to be explained. Jesus gave parables, but only the ones he explained it to got the message. The others went home and said, he didn't teach us anything. Don't throw your seed on the road. So what? I already knew that. That man benefited nothing. But the man who said, I want to know what it really means, he's the good ground that will produce something. So when we read all these Old Testament feasts, instead of just talking about the feast, let's think about what is he trying to show us there. It's a picture.